Hello folks, you're on the Desert Adventures YouTube channel. This video is sponsored by Apogee Performance Racing, the makers of the longest lasting chain lube, as well as gear oil, motorcycle parts, and accessories. Go to apogeeperformanceracing.com, check out what they got. So I decided to take my Amazon bought X Pro Storm 150 DLX and race it in the Outlaw Enduro put on by Faster MC. And despite having to repair a flat front tire and breaking my damn foot, I was actually able to get a decent finish. Stick around till the end of the video and see how well it went. So the race is about 3.5 hours away from our property, so we load up the evening before, get the X Pro and all the camping gear and the dogs in the truck, and head down to set up camp at the race. After we get camp set up, you go get tech inspected, and the next morning go watch all the A and B riders take off. It was awesome to see Destry Abbott out there flagging for the first few rows of guys. 2 hours after that, it was time to get on the starting line and get ready for 60-mile enduro and 3 tests. It starts off into a 3-mile transfer. After a 3-mile transfer, it was time for a 10-mile timed test. And test 1 started off with some fun downhill single track, and it's just some chunky rocky terrain and some nice saguaros to look at as well. And really through this section, my goal is just to kind of figure out how the bike's going to handle on this terrain, because I've never ridden down in this area before, never raced on this bike before, and really just kind of see how everything's going and finish the race. We got 60 miles of this stuff, so don't be in too big of a hurry, just have fun and enjoy the terrain. Plus, having never ridden this terrain before, I didn't dare outride my sight or how far I could see. And it didn't take longer than about 8 to 10 minutes into the ride for the terrain to get even funner and funner. Right when you start to open it up, I realize there's some guys here warning me that there's some danger ahead. This would have been ugly to fly off hauling ass. If you do ever take this bike out and plan on racing it, or if you're going to go ride it hard, I do recommend removing the rear light package, the entire blinker, tail light, and license plate mount mud flap package. Just remove that so that it's just a bare fender on the back. My rear tire, especially the oversized tire that I'm running, definitely munched up that rear brake light, but it's part of racing, and it was kind of funny to see that happen. And now we're starting to get into the tight little teddy bear cholla cactus fields. These cactus suck. You don't want to punch them because you'll end up pulling out 40-50 needles in one punch or one swipe. Another nickname of them is jumping cactus. They tend to throw a bunch of balls of needles at you if you do hit them. Another thing that sucks about them is they tend to pop tires and tubes if you're not running the boost bit. Getting into this section, I actually started to notice that I was catching a guy and starting to get into someone's dust trails, so that always encourages you to want to go faster. It's pretty fun, even if you're just running on someone's tail and setting in on them. So long as I don't end up punching or running into some of these cactus. Like I said before, you do have to worry about flat tires as well, and plenty of other people have ran into these cactuses already. standard enduro and hare scramble etiquette. When you get up on someone's ass, or if someone comes up on your ass, you're supposed to get out of the person's way that's coming up behind you, because obviously they're moving quicker. Towards the end of the 10-mile test, I started noticing the front end was washing on. I hadn't quite caught on. I had a flat front tire yet.
Good. Thank you, sir.
But made it through test 1. And if you look closely, you'll see there's my flat front tire I got there. Thankfully, my cousin found another racer that had a spare tube to give me, and my cousin was nice enough to actually help me change the tube. Thanks, Leroy. After fixing the flat, it was time to go on to test 2. Some of the race officials and course workers were surprised to see me out here on an X-Pro China bike, but like I told them, it's $1,000 of fun plus shipping, and so far the bike has given me more fun than $1,000 is worth, so I'm pretty happy with it. And heck, it's holding up to all this shit. Look at it. Test 2 also had some pretty badass washes to run in. This is pretty cool enduro terrain I was enjoying. Plus I haven't gotten a chance to ride this bike in this terrain too much, so it was a good change of pace from the stuff I've been riding at home. Getting here into test 2, I'm starting to notice a lot more of these steep hill climbs, which is awesome. And it's actually fairly surprising how well the bike did, especially with some good tires. You know, you don't need a shit ton of horsepower to climb. You just need good power and, good tires and good torque, is what I should say. And that is one thing I do love about this bike, is a super flat torque curve. Down almost at idle RPM all the way up to top RPM. It just has great torque. Especially for being a Chinesium 150. Not only were some badass hill climbs, but we also got some beautiful scenery along the way, especially over these rises where you get to see the whole horizon. Awesome. But you don't get to look at them too much when you're moving and racing, otherwise you'll get yourself hurt. And speaking of getting yourself hurt, remember how in the beginning of the video I said that I broke my foot? Well, here it comes. Hear me yell. It was at this moment I knew I'd fucked up. Broke that foot. I really just didn't know how bad I'd messed that foot up yet. When you're in the adrenaline rush and you're riding, you know, you're just like, oh, that hurts. I just didn't know how bad yet. The problem is you're already 25 miles into a race, and you've got to ride a lot of miles of trail, no matter what, to get back to the truck if you can, or back to camp. So you may as well just finish the race, was my thought. So that was a decision I made. I was going to finish the race and figure out how bad I was damaged later, and no matter how bad I had to cry about it. And I'd be lying and completely full of shit if I was going to try and sit here and claim that it didn't hurt and that it didn't slow me down. Because I was crying before. I am crying here. But work through it. And no matter how much you hurt, you still got to ride this damn course. So we kept pushing through because he got no choice. And even managed to have a good amount of fun. Even with the broken foot and good pain going on, it's still a good time. Some badass terrain, some tough enduro terrain, some good little rocky sections coming up. Well, you'll see. Yeah, that foot was feeling real good right there. Especially with that amazing suspension that we got rocking on the $1,400 bike. And even though the terrain was wonderful, it was still hurting to just keep pushing. And this is only test 2. Still got another test after this. So we'll have a little resting point, but resting hurts when your foot's hurting like this. So you just keep pushing along. It's really unfortunate because this is such fun terrain to be riding, and spots like these where you get held up really suck because then you got to put that shitty foot down on the ground and wonder why the hell you're being held up. But no matter how much you want to bitch about being held up somewhere, we've all been the guy that's accidentally holding somebody up or holding up the entire damn race. Especially us C-class fabulous guys trying to go fast with some real fast guys behind us getting frustrated with us. So I really can't say shit about it. And no matter what's holding you up, it gives you a chance to take a breath, get your heart rate down, and it always clears up in the end. So just keep moving afterwards. And getting to the end of test 2 here, I was straight up just in survival mode, hoping that we were getting to the end of test 2. I didn't know how close I was getting to it, and was just trying to make sure I got there. That was it. But we made it there, and we made it this far, so we may as well finish test 3 and get this race completed and see where we stand. So I got my ass moseying on over to test checkpoint 3 and began. And surprisingly enough, I was actually feeling a bit better by this point. Maybe it was just a relaxation point. By the way, you always got to check on them riders on your way by, make sure they're not dying there. But yeah, at the beginning of test 3, feeling pretty good for the most part, other than that foot throbbing. And really, if I could stay out of the whoops and the hard G-outs, you know, basically if I didn't have to stand up, I'd be doing pretty good. So I was sitting a lot more than I should have been through a lot of this, but we just kind of toughed it out and kept moving. And after another 10-15 minutes of beating on that club broken foot, it was not happy, and I was in pretty bad pain here again. Just kind of survival mode, sitting a lot more than I should be, and it was slowing me down a lot. But we're making it, and we're gonna get through. It made it extremely challenging in spots like this where I would normally be standing up and gripping the bike with my legs. Instead, I was kind of forced to just sit down like a jackass. And not the right way to ride, but getting up the hill nonetheless. adrenaline are very weird things in the way they work. It's like the pain will come in waves, or maybe the adrenaline and fun were killing the pain in waves. Either way, got in some of this single track, started feeling better. Didn't want to hold this guy back because the foot was still hurting, but was starting to have fun again, and the foot wasn't just completely excruciating every second. It's weird how that works. I don't quite understand that. But it makes it possible to have some fun instead of it just being pure agony for the rest of the race, so I was thankful for it. But all good things must come to an end, and my ability to ignore the pain on this race is going to come to an end as well, especially with some terrain like this and some G-outs like these coming up here. Those hurt real bad on that foot, I tell you what. And for some reason, it seemed like the G-outs and the whoops were just not going to end after this. The end of the race seemed to be just a lot of G-outs and whoops. Feeling great on that foot. But at the same time, adrenaline's an amazing thing and made it doable. And I have to say also, enough whining about the foot, props goes out to the X Pro 150. This thing has actually held up amazingly well throughout this whole race, even though the rider isn't. The bike is just barking right along. The only thing it's done to this thing is a front sprocket and chain swap, PZ30 carb key-in, and FMF exhaust. Go to Apogee Performance Racing if you want to get some parts for these things. For some reason, here was one of those spurts where I started feeling better again. I was actually able to get the bike moving and get to standing up when I needed to over the whoops and over the bumps. And yep, those waves, they come and go. But it seemed like the last 5 minutes of the race, that spurt seemed to last a bit longer, and I was able to tough it out and enjoy it. Heck, I even started getting enjoying being passed by other people. Either way, this was a great race, and I was super thankful to have gotten to do it, regardless of messing my foot up or not. It was amazing. I even started picking up the pace towards the last couple of minutes. Since knowing you're at the end, you know you can push the pain a little further, it seems like. But in the end, I was able to milk my way up to a 4th place in my class, which I'm quite proud of, especially with the broken foot and the flat tire slowing me down. I feel like I did quite well. Hopefully the next race I'm able to make it to is about 6 weeks out, and I'll be all healed up and wicky up, excuse me. And I'm looking forward to being able to race the race and maybe bring home a podium finish. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. The whole point of this video series is to show that you don't have to spend $10,000 to have a wonderful time racing, and you might even get a podium finish if you work hard and you ride well. You can go out there on a $1,400 bike and have a great time. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to go to ApogeePerformanceRacing.com to go get some of the best damn chain lube made. Not some of, it is the best chain lube made. Go get some. Quit messing around.